Hi there, I'm Aly Elliott.
Hi there, I'm Aly Elliott, and I'm back now with another video from the Hiraeth series. We're going to go over another image and dig deeply into what went into creating that image and telling the story of that child. Today we are going to talk about Baby Delaney. Baby Delaney that's actually their last name. The baby was not given a first name as they did not know the sex of the baby when he or she passed away. So we're going by their last name. The baby would have been 9 months old at the time that we photographed the rest of the family. So that is the age that he or she is depicted in the image. I met the Delaney family in 2017. I had an idea for a competition image, and I needed a larger family. I had my own family and I wanted to shoot a different family for this particular concept. I needed a family with at least 5 children where the oldest wouldn't have been older than maybe 13. And a mutual friend of ours connected us on Facebook, and we met for that competition image. And they actually had 7 children appear in there. They had 8 at the time, and number 8 did not have any business, did not have any interest at all in being in that picture. He was at their feet, I think. But we had such a blast photographing their family, and they were a lot of fun, gorgeous, fun kiddos. And it ended up being a little bit of a tradition, and they came back the next year for another competition image, an idea that I had. And she was aware of the Hiraeth project, that I don't even think it was named that yet, but she was aware of the bereavement series that I was working on when they suffered their loss. Several months had passed when I was looking for a family that would represent earlier losses. We have a wide age span in children who've passed, and we didn't have any of the earlier losses that I know represents a large part of our population. So I wanted to have that portion represented in some way, and their mama Megan graciously agreed to share their story. And I'd photographed them before, so the kids were comfortable with me and we knew each other. The concept for this image was one of the very first that I had developed in my mind, and I was just waiting for the right family to represent it. I wanted low city lights and kind of a rainy scene. My initial concept was the idea of having the surviving siblings holding an umbrella over the missing brother or sister. And the more I developed that concept in my mind, it seemed like it might be the other way around, that they're actually looking out for us. We are protecting their memory and they're watching over us. And so that concept evolved a little bit in the umbrella placement. And she was expecting their rainbow baby when we shot this image. So I wanted it to be all about the children, and that's why Mama's face is hidden, but we wanted to include her, to include their rainbow baby, who ended up arriving to be able to see their image with everybody else at the gallery show, which was really cool. So this was an idea that I had, and I had before I had the family. So some of the concepts were developed specifically for the family, and some of the concepts were matched with the best fit for them. This one evolved with their family, and I actually shot it on green screen in my studio, and they were more local to me family. They did travel a little bit, which I greatly appreciate. But we were able to shoot it in studio, and then I could place them. The image that I placed them in is actually it's a pretty regionally famous spot, but it's shot from the opposite direction. It's a spot on a local college campus where it's kind of one of the things where people graduate that school, they go there and get their picture taken. But I stood where the person that is the subject usually stands and looked the other way. and was able to create this visual that I was hoping for, because we can get that beautiful shine of the headlights. That I wanted a burst of light in these, because regardless of the story, regardless of the sadness, there are children and they're a bright light in our lives. And I wanted to make sure and depict that in every single image, even the ones that are a little bit darker and gloomy seeming. There's a bright spot there. So they have 11 children. They had 10 for me to photograph. And we photographed them in sections so that I could extract them from the actual raw images and place them in the scene the way I wanted to. The sky in the image is actually created from two different concepts. It was an overcast day, but it was an overcast day that did not offer any definition in the clouds. So I pieced in there the kind of gloomy, stormy, rainy sky. And then I added in there the pink and blue sunset that is a little heaven wink that the kiddos talked about. That's what I heard more than anything when I was talking to the kiddos there for their picture, was the sunset. They always look for the pink and blue sunset. So I definitely had to add that in there. And I felt like with the balance of this beautiful, bright sunset of God's glory was juxtaposed to the passing storm. And I felt that was very symbolic for this scene and for this baby. I mentioned that they did not know the sex of the baby. However, there are some pink and blue highlights in there to just kind of illuminate not knowing. So the umbrella is pink, Big Brother's jacket is blue, and I played with the colors that were in the flowers just to kind of give a little wink either way. So that was an important part of their storytelling. You can see back in the storefront, the store is not actually called 11, but I wanted to put that number in there because I had them clumped a little bit. It's maybe not as definitive as it would be normally if they were spread out of how many kids you can see. So I wanted to make sure that that number was in there. They have 5 girls and 5 boys, and they have their little tiebreaker that we are remembering. So you can see the baby's reflection in between the two groups of the family, and they're kind of peering down, looking at him or her. And the baby is created using pieces of all 10 children by any way that I could, and developed this sweet little reflection that they can all see. If you get in there really closely, you can see a little leaf on right where the baby's heart is. And that's very symbolic for me. You can see my leaf on my arm. When at the hospital that my daughter was born and died at, they would put just a little bereavement leaf photograph on the door so that the staff would recognize that that family was bereaved or in the process of bereavement, and care appropriately. And I remember that, and I kept that. And when my mother was passing at a totally different hospital, they had the same leaf. And that's why I put it on myself, and that's why I made it a part of this series as well, because I found that so moving that it was this universal symbol, this understood symbol, and it's a leaf with a teardrop on it. So it meshed in with this scene so beautifully. And I wanted that to be a connection where you could recognize, again, the tangible things that we see in everyday life that the bereaved family might look at and smile or find a reason to say their family member's name. And that's one of the little hidden gems that I tucked in there that I felt like was important. The composition of the entire image, I just wanted to be deep and rich and dark overall, but the bright lights are the faces of the siblings and the missing child alone to be the bright spots. And in addition to that, it's the bright spots of the sunset, the pink and blue, the remembrance is the bright spot too. So now I want to read to you what they said about their baby that is in their book. Like I mentioned, I'm going through the Hiraeth book to determine the order that I'm going in for these videos. And regarding Baby Delaney, it is said, we still include this baby as a part of our family. They always tell people, there are 11 of us, 5 boys, 5 girls, and 1 angel baby up in heaven. We will forever have an angel watching over us. I long for the day we get to meet face to face, and until then, love the little signs they show us. And I am so grateful to the whole family for sharing their heart with us, and in such a new and raw form. Most of the families involved in this project had been bereaved for quite some time, because it's something that I want to make sure you're ready for, because it's a big emotional experience. And grief, as heavy as it is, makes time kind of drag on, and you feel like you've been in it for a long time and it's still very new. And I can remember when I joined Miss Foundation forums right after our daughter passed in 2007. And Miss, by the way, stands for Mothers in Sympathy and Support, which was a lifeline for me. And I can remember seeing women who'd been on there 4 or 5 years and thinking, wow, that's so long. I can't believe they made it, they made it that far. And they were instrumental to supporting me, and I hope that I can be that for women who are not as far along on the journey, and that we can support each other and hold each other up and just listen if you want to say their names. So thank you for joining us on Baby Delaney's journey, and thank you to the Delaney family for sharing your heart and your story with us. I will continue this series until each image has its own video. And I look forward to sharing all the little heaven winks in each image. The next one coming up after this is for Kennedy. And that is a very special one as well. And I look forward to you joining me in that. And it'll be in the next day or two. And make sure you subscribe so that you know when new videos are uploaded. Thank you.
That's why I do my mommy. Please.